Her father would usually abuse and insult her at the slightest provocation, saying,
"Look at you, see how fat and ugly you are. I wish you had died instead of your mother."
So Ayn continued like this for the next 4 years, enduring all the abuse and insults that her father and sister rained on her. A few years later, Omar had graduated from the university. Ole was very happy that his favorite daughter Omar was succeed.
Handsome, successful men had started coming to the house to ask for my sister's hand in marriage. It was as though I was invisible. I would always peek and look sadly as young, successful men came to visit my twin sister. My father would call me out to bring drinks to entertain their guests, saying, "Come, come, come, come since you're good for nothing, at least come and serve your sister's guest."
And then Omar will come in covered in shame to serve her guest. A few months later, Omar had finally picked one of the men to settle down with. So she got married to her name was Amy. Amy worked very big oil company, so the wedding ceremony was a very lavish one. But Ayn was not allowed to attend as her sister. Ayn was so sad, she wept and even ate more food than usual just so she could find more comfort. A few months after the wedding, Omar found out she was pregnant. She and her husband Amy were so happy, and they both shared the good news with Ole, who was also very happy. As usual, Ole insulted Ayn, saying,
"Look at your life. You are at home busy eating, and growing fat while your sister is advancing in life, building a home, and now she's pregnant and expecting a baby."
With way mocking his daughter, and as usual would and weep profusely. A few months later, Omar had given birth and had requested her father to send her twin sister Ayn to come and live with her so she can take care of the baby. She called her father one day and said,
"Papa, I'm stressed taking care of a new baby. It's not an easy job at all, Papa. I was thinking if Ayn is not so useful to you, can you please send her over to take care of my baby? Oh."
"Pack your bags. You're going to leave with your sister since you killed your mother, who would have been the one taking care of your sister now that she has a baby. You will have to go there yourself and take care of your sister and her baby."
Next day, Ayn was at her sister's house, and that day marked the beginning of another level of hardship. Omar and her husband maltreated her and treated her very badly. She literally treated her like a maid. The day Ayn arrived at home, she called her to give her a pep talk and a list of do's and don'ts. As though she were a maid, Ayn would sweep and clean and do all the chores in the house. She would even carry the baby and feed the baby while Omar and her husband Amy slept at night. Ayn was a full-time maid with no pay to her own twin sister. She always cried and wept. She wished that she had died at birth rather than suffer like this at the hand of her father. Now her sister, even Omar's husband Amy, have also started molesting her. Whenever Omar was not there, he would touch her and even tease her. But whenever Omar was around, he would talk down to her and mock her, saying,
"Oh, my beautiful wife. How can this ugly, fat, round thing be your blood sister, not to mention your twin sister? Are you sure they didn't make a mistake at the hospital?
Oh, my dear husband, I've thought the same thing several times as well. Look at my twin sister. See how round she is, like Melty."
All her life, her sister treated her even worse than her father. The only thing her sister did better was to feed her. But at this point, the excess food she was given was not just because she didn't want her to be hungry, but also because she wanted her to remain fat and ugly so that she and her husband could continuously make fun of her. Her husband returned to work a few months later while Anne stayed at home all day caring for her baby. However, from the first day, Anne resumed work. He would leave his office in the afternoon and come back home just so he could force himself on Anne. Anne could not stop him because he was much stronger than her, and when he was done forcing himself on her, he would dress up and go back to work, while Anne would cry all day. There was nobody to talk to. Neither her father nor sister would believe her. So she kept her mouth shut and continued to be abused like this for several. One night, Kemi and Omar had a quarrel during the day, and Kemi wanted to feel the warmth of his wife, but she refused him. So he waited for a few minutes thinking that Omar was asleep, and then he decided to sneak into Emma's room to force himself on her as usual. However, this time Anne mustered all her strength and screamed at the top of her lungs. She knew that this was the only opportunity she had to let Omar know that her husband had been abusing her. At least she thought that if Omar caught them red-handed, then she would be able to believe her when she tells her that her husband has been abusing her for several months. So she screamed with all her strength, and just as she had,
What's happening here?
Omar screamed, looking shocked.
Is it not your fat, ugly twin sister that is trying to seduce me? I was on my own, and she started seducing me. I wonder what she's thinking, that I will leave my hot, beautiful wife for her fat round.
It's not true. Your husband has been forcing himself on me for several months. He comes back home every afternoon to have his way with me. How can I be the one seeing him in my own room? What is he doing in my own room? He's the one that came to rape me. I'm telling you the truth.
Anne said, crying, but all her pleas fell on deaf ears, and Omar and her husband threw Anne things out and forced her out of their home. Anne stood in front of their gate at midnight, very afraid. She was crying and weeping, clutching her bag tightly as she had nowhere to go. Shortly after, she decided to walk and look for a place to lay her head and sleep. As she walked, she saw a beautiful car approaching her. She was very afraid, but the car stopped beside her, and a handsome man named Emma rolled down the window and looked at her. He could see fear and fear all over her face, and immediately said,
"Young lady, why are you out at this time alone by yourself? You know it's not safe. My name is Emma. What's your name? Please come into the car. Let me take you to your destination."
Emma said while looking very worried.
My name is Ain, sir. I don't have anywhere to go. My sister and her husband threw me out of the house tonight, but I cannot come with you, sir. I don't know who you are.
I promise you that I will not hurt you or do anything untoward to you. Please, it's not safe out here. Please come in. I will take you to my home and at least you can spend the night there. Then, if you want to go, you can go anywhere you want tomorrow morning. Please.
Said after much hesitation, Anne hopped into the car and followed Emma home. But she was still shaking and weeping profusely. So Emma took Anne home. Anne was shocked to see how beautiful his home was. Adora and Ilber were his sisters so warm. They welcomed her and showed her to her room. They even gave her a change of clothes and also provided her with food. Anne was so grateful. She felt at home, and that night was the first night when she felt happy and slept peacefully. They were having dinner together and talking. When the story of the twin sisters' life and her father's behavior was described to them, they were very sorry and told her that you should not come back to their house and life. You should stay with us. From that day, They used to go shopping together as if they were sisters. Emma treated her like their sister. They spent hours chatting together, went shopping together, and had so much fun together. They all really liked her, and she liked them too. She was very intelligent, and Emma was even beginning to fall in love with her. But he hid his feeling from her and his sisters. His sisters were also very happy for her. A few months later, Emma could no longer hide his feeling for her. So he made his intentions known and said to her,
I love you so much, and I would want to be your husband. Please, Ain, would you marry me?
Yes, of course, I will marry you, but just one more thing. Are you sure you will not stop loving me later because of my weight? I'm very fat.
I've always loved fat and thick women. You are my type. You're everything I want in a woman. I love everything about you. Besides, have you not seen my sisters? They're also fat.
Ayn was so happy. A few weeks later, they had a lavish wedding ceremony. Ayn had gained a new family, Emma, who loved her very much, and now she had two new sisters who cherished her. She was so excited, pampered, and they continued to live together. A few years later, Emma and Ayn already had 3 beautiful children, and they were so happy. Ayn had moved on with her life and had long forgotten about her father and her twin sister. However, one day, Ayn was seated in her home when she saw someone who looked like her twin sister and her father walking to their house. She jumped to her feet and shouted,
What are these wicked people doing here?
Ayn said, shouting angrily,
Please calm down, my love. Your father and sister traced my office and came to see me. They have come to beg for your forgiveness and ask for your help.
he said, trying to calm his wife down.
My father and sister, God forbid I don't have a father or sister. These ones here are not my family members.
Ayn said, crying. Immediately, Oma and her father fell to their knees, pleaded with Ayn, saying, Ayn, please forgive us.
I was consumed by the grief of losing my wife and transferred my aggression to you. I should never have blamed you for the loss of my wife. I'm so sorry.
I was just a baby, Papa. How could I have been responsible for the death of my mother, and you made my life a living hell for over 25 years? As for you, Oma, I'm your twin sister, yet you hated me so much that you joined our father to maltreat me. You treated me like a maid, and even when you caught your husband abusing me, you accused me of seducing him and threw me out at night. Both of you are not worthy to be called my family.
She narrated how life had been very tough for her and her father. They had been involved in an accident. They had spent several months in the hospital but had finally died after they had spent all their money and saving on their hospital fees. They were now both very, very poor. After listening to all their sad stories, Ayn said,
I knew it, so you only remembered me because things are no longer rosy. But like I said, I'm not surprised. I do not want anything to do with you both ever again.
She wrote a check for $10 million and handed it over to her sister.
Start your life afresh, but this should be the first and last time you ever contact me again.
Crying while, so Oma and Olen left for home with their heads buried in shame. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think Ayn was wrong for not forgiving her twin sister and her father? If you were in her shoes, would you really let bygones be bygones? Please tell me your opinion in this comment section. I would like to read them. And please support me by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing them with your loved ones. Until I come your way again with more interesting story. Goodbye.